Get into that because we talked right off the bat that it's about us. It has to start with us in order for the modeling to continue, in order for setting the example that we need for the rest of the organization. Where do we start with us? Like if we're a leader trying to figure out our self-awareness, trying to create or trying to understand our contribution to friction, what can we be doing?
First, I would take a psychometrics assessment
Mm.
that would tell me, I mean, we offer these, but a lot of other people do too. Not only tell me what my strengths are, but where are my blind spots? The assessment I use, and I'm happy to share it with you, the assessment I use not only looks at your personality, it also looks at your behavior. It also looks at what you value, and then it also looks at how you see the world. When I understand that I see the world as people as obstacles, and I get it through data, I can say, wow, I don't want to see my kids and my family as obstacles. Because that's usually this is where people lie to themselves. They think they're different at home. They're not different at home. When in the divorce court, you find out they are not different at home. When the kids are 35 years old, you find out you were not different at home, or you're estranged from them, right? So an assessment, there's also something called the saboteur assessment. It's through Positive Intelligence. You can go online, positiveintelligence.com/saboteur, and you can find out how your strengths are being overutilized. So collecting in all change, the first step is a willingness. The second step is collecting sound and current data. Dr. Marshall Goldsmith wrote a book called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. We have every person in our deep alignment retreats read that book. Halfway through the book, there's a list of behaviors that estrange people to you, behaviors that keep you separate, behaviors that create this dualistic of us versus them. You read that book, you go down and you circle all the things that you're doing that are creating separation. So collecting data. Goldsmith also recommends that you interview people. Landmark Education in their self-expression leadership course gives you an interview guide. It's 2 questions. What about my leadership works? What about my leadership doesn't work? If you want to do an extra question for extra credit, have I ever done or said anything that has had you feel less than? Another extra credit. What do I do that gets in your way of being and utilizing your genius? So you've got to collect data.
Right.
Now, when collecting data, understand that when you're interviewing others, everything someone says to you is a reflection of something going on with them. So you have to understand. But if one person calls you a horse, you can say, they called me a horse. 2 people call you a horse, you want to look in the mirror and see if you're growing ears. 3 people call you a horse, you want to look behind you and see if you're growing a tail. 4 people call you a horse, you need to buy a saddle.
You're a horse.
So collecting sound and current data, then the next step, once you collect the data, is to analyze it and say, what can I fix? What's the lowest hanging fruit in my behavior that I can stop doing? Then you pick five behaviors.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go back to people and you say, here's the things that I learned. Here's the 5 things I'm doing that don't work. I can't change them all. I'm human. It's going to take me a year to improve one behavior, but I want to work as fast as I can. Here's the 5 things. What do you think? What would make the biggest difference? You collect that data. Then you pick one behavior with 5 supporting ways of being that support that behavior. So let's say I make meetings uncomfortable for people, and the one behavior I'm going to improve is my behavior in meetings. I am going to create courage and engagement in every meeting. That's my behavioral improvement. What are the 5 things I can do? I can start the meeting with a weather report, a check-in. How's everybody doing? Instead of how's everybody doing, If you were a boat on the Pacific, Atlantic, Indian Ocean, what's going on the seas right now inside of you? People love that. At least you know everybody's in choppy waves. We
Mhm.
need to calm down. You need to connect with people. So let's just say one of the first things is a check in, another thing is connection. Have everybody share a success. This is just to support, have
Right.
meetings, put people in a state of courage and engagement. Then, whatever you're talking about, your meeting should be one item. Don't interrupt, don't comment when people are talking. That's another behavior. Give people space. Acknowledge them at the end. I don't know, for everybody, it'll be different. But if you want to improve one behavior, you need 5 leading indicators that show people you are changing. And then you check in with them. How'd I do this week?
Right.
Thumbs up or thumbs down. Marshall Goldsmith has a great process. We add a lot more to that, and we have the coaches' support. But let's go back to something you said earlier, leadership development. What you don't do is throw someone in a leadership development course, and here's why. I'm going to learn all these things that I should be doing.
Mm.
All of that is icing plopped on a poo poo pie if I've got some basic fundamental flaws in how I work with people. And we all have basic fundamental flaws. All of us are flawed. Human beings are flawed. So maybe I'm too nice. Maybe I talk too much. Maybe I'm a nervous Nelly. Maybe I'm too controlling. Maybe I'm too aggressive with having to win at all costs. Maybe I'm not realistic. Maybe I seek approval. I mean, I have another CEO I'm working with, nice person. They tell everybody what they want to hear
Mm.
and they never make decisions. That's just as toxic as the other stuff because then people don't trust them.
Yeah.
It's the 12 faces of Sybil. Like, who am I going to get today? So, personal awareness, self awareness, number one thing to start with. If you really want change, if you're serious about change. And then I would either hire a coach or do a large group self awareness immersion like the Hoffman process or the Landmark Forum or Pathways or Psy or LifeSpring. They're out there, and it's an immersion, whether it's 7 days like the Hoffman or 3 days like Landmark, where you examine what's behind your personality. What are the undercurrents of what's going on? What's remnants from childhood that you're projecting and reflecting on people in the workplace? This is the work that needs to be done across the board before you even do a strategy session. That's why at my company, we do deep alignment first, which is where we learn about responsibility, we learn about ego, we learn about projection, reflection, and we learn that the way we're showing up at work is impacting our entire life, and we're lying to ourselves if we say we're not. And
So
then we create the future. You don't create the future on top of a poo poo pie.